show's live.
Oh,
There it goes. Here we are again. I mean, we'll give it a couple seconds. Let the people get their little dings. And I'm not on Facebook tonight because I'm banned from Facebook for 30 days. So tonight's show is going to be on Twitch TV and YouTube Live. So
what
thanks,
did
guys.
you do? What did you do to get spanked by Facebook?
Right? God, this. Oh my God, I can't even believe it. And it's an older post too. Because I do another show called Girls Going Gin on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. And we have a group page so people are free to post funny horror or true crime stuff, whatever they want, or real stuff. I don't care. I posted a Jeffrey Dahmer meme about boiling a femur, and it was humorous or something. It was a punny kind of, and I got banned for that because I'm glorifying a killer. Wow. So for 30 days, I am a social terrorist, and I should not be allowed to go live or advertise. Which is paying them, by the way, because when I advertise, you got to pay them. So, I mean, if you guys don't want my money, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. You know, people want me somewhere.
Facebook, the hell with them. You don't need them.
I don't need them. Don't need them at all. So, oh my gosh. Well, anyways, welcome to Any Last Words, guys. You guys know I'm your host, Joe, and tonight's guest is David Lee Madison.
Yes, and you're sitting at home going, who the hell is this guy? Don't worry. Even the people in my own house are saying, who the hell is this guy? So don't,
you too?
It happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, I hate it when the dog gives you that look. It's like, really, you're judging me? I feed you.
Yeah, that's why I shot him. No, just kidding.
Is that what the fresh flower bed is for?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Grows great pumpkins.
Ooh, it's good to know. Oh no, we're gonna get banned for sure now on everything.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, we're horrible people. Can't be allowed on the interwebs.
No, I got to ask you a question. Is that a green screen or a green wall behind you?
It's a green screen.
So are you going to do the weather later?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe a little traffic report. You know,
there you go.
I'm close to LA, and it trickles up this way. So. Yeah. But yeah, no, I got a window right here, and since it's getting like light longer.
Oh, wow, it's still daytime by you. That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah,
up here on the mountains of Pennsylvania, it's pitch black. And I just took my, every night before I go to bed, I take like an exercise walk. I run through the woods. I howl at the moon. I look through my neighbor's window to see if they're getting dressed. And it's just a wonderful, it's really actually very cold here tonight in Pennsylvania. It's probably in the low 40s and is going to go down into the low 30s tonight.
Lucky it was 90 degrees here today.
Oh, really?
And I think it was like 65 degrees this morning when I got up to go to work.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Well, it was 3:45 in the morning, so.
I will say, though, that the cold is awesome to preserve yourself because I'm literally 365.
I was wondering what your secret was. You look fabulous. I love that.
No, thank you.
That nice, healthy mountain glow.
You're thinking to yourself, he doesn't look a day over 364.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Thanks, Tech Defects. Thanks for joining. He says, David who? Is that one of your fellers?
I never heard of Tech Defects. I'd never heard of Joe Ridgely. It's just some hack looking to bother us. So please pay no attention to it.
Sounds legit. And hey, Richard, Merry Hashmas Eve to you too. For the 420 folks, whatever reason you do it, I don't care. So.
What is that? So, I mean, I'm old and feeble, and believe it or not, I never have as much as even smoked a cigarette in my life.
That's good.
So is tomorrow like a hash day or something? Did I miss it?
Tomorrow is 420, which is, I guess, the like the farmers' almanacs and how they go by seasons and stuff to plant things. I guess that's when the old hemp farmers used to start their crop.
Oh, wow.
So it's a celebration type day. I just say, peace, whatever.
I need you to come on my show, and when people say hip things, you're going to have to actually explain it to me.
Oh, man, I have to Google sometimes because I don't. Or I have to sit there and think, okay, what else does that word sound similar to? Maybe I might understand it. Oh my gosh. And still, sometimes I end up having to Google because I'm like, I'm going to sound like a very old person if I don't do this. And this girl over here is already calling me old. So I need to hurry up and go faster. I can't see the little buttons.
I saw a show that you did, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. I lose track of time up here in the woods, like sequestered during COVID. And you were sitting there, you were talking to a guest. You had a big fat stogie, and you look so badass. Do you actually smoke cigars like on the regular?
I haven't in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I used to a couple of times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a big tote, like full that somebody was very nice to gift to me. I just like of just random cigars. So I could like smoke like every hour on the hour for like maybe 2 months if I wanted to. But it's something you really need to sit and enjoy and take your time with. It's not like, a cigarette, you're just like, oh God, I got to distress a little bit. These kids been driving me crazy all day, just get it out. It's, you enjoy it. The cigars are handcrafted. There's an art to it. There's different blends. There's different leaves that are used.
No.
And
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I never smoked a cigarette, but I must confess that I've had a cigar or two in my day. But
ooh, I'm a
yes. I used to have the humidors and the little hockey pucks in the top of them that told me the humidity, and rock star pals of mine would send me cohibas, and it was all very, very pleasant. But I've cleaned up my act since then.
Such a rebel in your past. I can't see that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Richard says, I don't know if this is directed to me or you. Probably not you because you said you haven't smoked. Well, maybe. Have you ever smoked cloves? Like the clove?
Like
Would
cloves and ham?
That's delicious. Put a little bit of orange and cherry on that.
You know what? I think maybe I don't. In motion pictures, you don't smoke cloves. You smoke lettuce. Believe it or not. So
are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. When you see in a big $200 million blockbuster film, somebody's smoking, they're smoking lettuce leaves. I don't know if that's what he means, or if he means something that's like going right over my head. I'm not sure.
No, like they call them clove cigarettes. I don't know if it's just like the tobacco is like dipped in clove oil, or if it's, I don't know what makes it a clove cigarette. I don't know if it is actually a clove cigarette. I used to smoke them back in the day, but
is that like a brand?
It's a taste. It's an experience. So they look like cigarillos almost.
I got you.
But yeah,
back in my day, I think they used to call them like Moors. Do they still have Moors?
Oh, I haven't heard that in a long while. No, I don't know.
Moors were the ones, the cigarettes that actually looked like little cigars. Moors.
Well, they're colored like a cigar, but they look like a cigarette. But they're colored like a cigarillo. But I don't know. That's a good question. I just usually when I smoked a clove cigarette, I was out at a club somewhere and I would smell it from across from somewhere, and I'd be just like, like Tom and Jerry, like the mouse smells the cheese.
Yeah,
and
he
just
floats
like,
over.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd be like, hey, I'll give you like $2 for one of those, like right now. Like that's the only time I can ever smoke those is if I'm out socially drinking somewhere.
Sweet.
I could not do that on the regular. That's yeah.
No, I was wondering how somebody who smokes cigars had such beautiful teeth. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks. It's just the front ones, believe it or not. So the rest of them are all. They show I eat too much candy. So,
oh no, join the club. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's so hard. I just like the crunch.
I about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed as, old, middle-aged, fat guy diabetic. And I had to stop eating candy and all that stuff. But believe it or not, they make sugar-free candy by like Hershey's dark chocolate and stuff. And to this day, I still eat that nasty stuff. You think I would have learned?
I don't mind some sugar-free stuff, honestly. 'Cause I think it's I used to diet so much when I was younger. It's just kind of like it's an acquired taste. You're like, I'm used to this. Not so bad anymore.
No, absolutely. Once you become used to it, it's it's just tastes like normal to you.
Yeah, basically. We got some more comments here. Katie Barberi. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Craig and I sending love. Yes, lettuce leaves. Ew. Craig says he's always smoked Marlboro Reds on any project he's doing, and he doesn't care who knows it.
Well, that's awesome because Craig Hurley was the star of Warlock 2, Armageddon, one of my favorite movies. And
Oh,
Katie Barberry was from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and she's
oh, are you serious?
yeah, and she's a big movie star, and they're both big movie stars and television stars. So thank you for watching us tonight.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
rock.
Thanks for watching. Now I'm all
Yeah.
like, oh, pressure's on even harder. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. God, weren't you gonna take over at some point?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Someday I'll have you on my show, and you could put me in the hot seat, and you could just sit there and wait for me to actually say something funny, clever, or entertaining. You'll actually have to wait a long time,
I'm
but
glad.
I might actually, I might come up with something.
Just sit there and stare at you. I'm not impressed. Make me laugh.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Let's see. Oh, Richard Nettleton. He asked, real question for both of you guys: hard tacos or soft tacos?
You know, it's funny. I'm probably going to be dismissed from every community that I'm a part of. The genre, horror genre.
No,
I'm a soft taco guy.
that's okay. I love tacos. Period. I don't care if they're crunchy or soft. I don't care if you've got to dip them in something. I love. Well, I like the crunchy ones best, but I just love tacos.
I'm actually more of a chimichanga guy.
Chimis are good too. They're good too.
And I have to be chicken.
Ooh, I like flautas. Flautas are really good. Well, I mean, it's all basically the same. They're just kind of rolled and sauced sometimes differently, but
I want to ask Katie Barberry, the young lady who put that message up, and maybe she could respond to you on your end where you could see the comments. Katie, are you a good cook? I'm dying to know if you're a good cook, especially if you could cook Mexican food. And if you are, I'm even more jealous of Craig than I already am.
Richard says, is the lettuce they smoke in the movies the devil's lettuce?
Isn't all
The
lettuce
electric lettuce?
Isn't all lettuce the devil's lettuce? It's lettuce, for Christ's sake.
Ugh,
What
it's
purpose
horrible.
does lettuce? I mean, other than being like on a turkey hero, what good does lettuce do?
That's true. Unless you're trying to watch carbs and you can't have a tortilla and then you're all depressed and bummed out, but you still want the crunch somewhere.
It's funny because when I first got diagnosed with diabetes, I couldn't have white bread, and wasn't really a big fan of wheat bread. So all my sandwiches had to become like in lettuce wraps, and you're just like, shoot me now.
Oh, yeah. Well, my computer froze over here, so let me hit this comment button so I can make sure we didn't miss anybody. Libby McDermott says David likes donuts. You like donuts?
I like rice pudding more, but I don't know where she got. I mean, Libby McDermott is actually a wonderful director. She directed Darkness Waits, which is a film that came out. It was Conrad Brooks' very last movie, and it was came out last summer. Scott Schiaffo from Clerks and Conrad Brooks and Jim Crott. It was just a wonderful movie. A lot of people liken her to be the next David Lynch because she has a very, very dark and sinister sensibility in like in like a backwoods country like setting. She's a really amazing filmmaker, and I don't know why she thinks I like. What'd she say? Cupcakes? Donuts. I don't know why she thinks I like donuts, but
I don't know.
sure. If
We were
you
talking about Entenmann's before the show. Those are donuts.
If you want to make me donuts, Libby, I'll be more than happy to eat them.
Ooh, donuts do sound good. Fresh ones. Gory Bit says, I'm loving the food discussion as I eat my sandwich with keto bread. Oh my gosh, I have keto bread. That stuff it's weird.
I don't know what it is.
Thin.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you can't have like regular bread or wheat bread or anything, you're trying to watch your carbs. And I don't know.
Well, if you're watching your carbs, you just have to go with wheat bread.
Really? I thought it still had a bunch of sugar in it.
No, it's white bread that is the problem for. Well, I only know things based upon like what affects diabetics, and for diabetics, white bread is even more like I could eat 2 pieces of white bread, and it'll shoot my number through the roof. But I can eat an entire hot fudge sundae, and nothing it won't affect my number. So white bread, white flours, your body breaks them down into sugars a lot quicker, and I mean, it takes a lot longer. My apologies. Like where if you eat a sundae, you could burn that sugar up just by the course of moving around throughout a day. Where white bread slowly becomes sugar in your system and is bad.
So eat ice cream, not bread.
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Tacos are still cool though, right?
Tacos are fantastic.
Good. I like where we're going with this conversation.
Yes. You know,
Oh
I'm
my
going to
gosh.
actually have to find a Mexican restaurant when we're done. You know, I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's going to probably take me 4 or 5 hours to find a Mexican restaurant. But when we're done, I'm going to have to go get a chimichanga.
Ah, oh, that does sound good. Oh my gosh, Libby's outing you right now. She says, I saw you sneak one on my set. Ooh, I think she outing you.
Lies. She tells lies.
Ooh, false news.
I, Libby, I never heard of anybody named Libby. I've never worked with anybody named Libby.
Katie responded. She says, I have been attempting to learn how to cook during the pandemic. My breakfasts are solid, and I'm learning a lot about Italian cooking, but Craig still kicks my arse at cooking. He is really good.
Oh,
And she
sweet.
says, learning how to cook Mexican next.
Ah.
And Richard says, do you like kolaches or pigs in blankets? Kolaches? What's kolaches?
I
That
don't know what
sounds
that
weird.
is. And I'm not a big pigs in blanket guy.
I'm kind of meh. I don't like canned biscuits too much. They have that tingy taste to them. I just rather make the bread at home.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I think I just gained like 6 pounds just having this conversation with you. So my cholesterol's rising.
I can no longer see my feet. You know.
Oh my Lord. Well, let's talk about something that makes us excited, which burns calories so that we can eat more tacos and ice cream later. So you have your own podcast, sir.
I do. I kind of look at it more different. I like to call it like a streaming talk show instead of a podcast, because a podcast kind of, I think of when people think of podcasts, they think of it not being like part of the visual medium. And this show, The End of the Night, is definitely a visual show. Not only do we have amazing star-studded guests appear on the show all the time, but we have clips and we have videos and we have pictures of them, from the films that we're talking about. So I kind of like to think of it more as a streaming talk show than a podcast. But I don't know if there's a term for that yet, but there should be.
I don't know, but I like that because I agree with you. It's like when you think podcast, it's like just like a stock photo, and then people are just talking.
Right, on phones, like on you know what a podcast remind me of? I used to do them all the time, and I'm not putting them down at all. They remind me of like when I was a kid before the internet. There was something called party lines. And
my God!
And people would call up party lines and pay like $2 a minute, so that 8 or 10 people who had no idea who each other were sit there and make sexual noises to each other or whatever the hell they were doing. But that is what it felt like when I would do a podcast show on the phone. It would just be like a party line. It wasn't really like a structure involved. Maybe I just didn't do the right podcast. And there are great podcasters out there, like Kevin Smith, who built the Smodcast empire and does wonderful podcasts. His shows were very structured and almost like a radio show. But I just don't think, even like what we're doing right now, I don't really see this as a podcast. I see this more as a streaming talk show.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Gorybit says Zoom meetings are the new party lines. So they'll get like 10 to 12 people. It looks like the Brady Bunch is sitting right there. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every time I have a show and we have like 6 guests, we always do the Brady Bunch joke where we like wave down at each other, or we go like, "Hey, how you doing?" But the great thing about the show is that we talk mostly about filmmaking and indie filmmaking and film making, but we're blessed on that show to be talking with people who see it from a different angle. They see it from being maybe really successful Hollywood directors or Hollywood actors, people who are iconic, who go about their business totally different than the indie filmmaker of today does. The advent of digital cameras and things and editing softwares that you could put on home PCs, opened up the wonderful world of filmmaking to so many wonderfully talented independent filmmakers. And there's kind of a weird bridge between, I like to say, our generation of independent filmmakers and some of the older guard of filmmakers from Hollywood and from who are more established than we are. And I think that we could there's a dichotomy where we can both learn from each other and continue to make really beautiful art together.
Absolutely. Did you have any tips for people who are in indie that are maybe kind of starting out and they're just kind of like, I can use any help?
It's funny because the great Bruce Campbell told me when I started, before I made my first film, Mr. Hush, to work my doughy little ass off, and I totally understood what Bruce meant. I gathered some money. Luckily, I had a great career, and I did okay, and I saved up some money. And I right when I was about turning 40, I said, hell, if I never after years of being a celebrity bodyguard and kind of working on the fringe of the industry, I said, if I don't ever make my first film, it's never going to happen. So I got 200 grand together and I shot a film called Mr. Hush. And along the way, friends who have accumulated in the business, I called them up and I said, hey, I'm making this small film. Would you do me a favor and be involved? So I got Brad Lurie, who played Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection, who was a dear friend of mine. And he was in the X-Men, and he has a resume that's like 200 titles long. I got Stephen Jeffries, who was really, growing up, I was the biggest Stephen Jeffries fan. He was Evil Ed in Fright Night, and he was Hoax in 976 Evil.
Oh,
And
God.
he was just my favorite horror actor of the 80s. And I reached out to him, and I sent him the script, and I remember this like yesterday. I was in Hershey, Pennsylvania on vacation with my wife and daughter, and my cell phone rang. And on the line was Steven, and he said, Dave, I got your script. I would love to do your movie. And it was literally like that scene out of Major League where I put the phone down and I started doing a weird dance in the hallway at the King Tut. I was so excited that one of my favorite actors of all time, decided to do the movie. So I had Brad Lurie and Stephen Jeffries on board. Then I reached out to Steve Dash because I wanted to have a Michael Myers and a Jason in a movie because there's never been that before. So I reached out to Steve Dash, who was Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, Part 2. And then I reached out to my dear friend Brian O'Halloran, who was Dante from Clerks. And we assembled in Northeast Pennsylvania. And over 38 days, we shot Mr. Hush, which was shot on, at the time, the Red 1, which was the very, very first Red camera. Anybody who's an aspiring filmmaker will know what that is. At the time, it cost like 70 grand. We rented it, but it was like the very, very first digital cinema camera that was available to the masses. And we made Mr. Hush, and we had a Mr. Hush Weekend of Fear convention where I invited all my horror friends out, and we had a big convention and premiere of the movie, and people loved it. And then I shopped it to all the acquisition houses, which anybody can do this day and age. Back then, I actually had to take physical media like a DVD and mail it to the acquisition houses, distribution and acquisition people at different labels. Today, literally today, you just have to put it up on a streaming service like Dropbox or something, and they can click on it and watch it and see if they want to purchase it. And lo and behold, one of the most prestigious distributors in the country, Kino Lorber, picked up Mr. Hush. And before I knew it, it was in every Redbox in the country. It was on every retailer in the country. I was driving to Florida with my family to go to Disney. And we pulled over in Fayetteville, North Carolina on I-95 because I was having trouble with my brakes. It was pouring rain. And it was just a really, really shitty night we were having. So I put my wife and daughter to bed, and because I've been driving for like 14 hours, I want to unwind. So in the parking lot of the hotel we were staying in was a Walmart Supercenter. So 2 o'clock in the morning, they're open 24 hours for people who don't know. I'm walking around and I'm picking up like a Powerade and some potato chips. And I walk by the video section, and at the end, they were building a Mr. Hush end cap. And I said to myself, that's the first time it hit me. I said, wow, this little movie that I shot with some dear friends up in Northeast Pennsylvania is going to actually be seen by people outside of Milford, Pennsylvania, where we shot it. And needless to say, it went on to be a modest hit. So I was very excited.
That's cool. So like when you saw that, did you like go up and say, "Hey, that's my film"? Or did you like take a picture with it? Or?
I did take a picture with it, and
Okay, cool.
I actually, and there was it was a middle-aged woman and a teen kid, and I went up to him and I'm holding my Gatorade and I'm wet from walking in, and I just look like a schlep, but I always look like a schlep. I look like a schlep, and I go, "Hey, you're not gonna believe this, but I wrote and directed that movie that you're building the end cap for," and he was like, "Really?" I was like, well, "Okay," but I was excited.
Man, like, you're not going to steal my joy today, Walmart man.
Right. Right. The funny thing is he probably stole the end cap and it's probably in his basement now.
Probably. Like, it's in my man room right now. You want to
Yes.
see some shit? I got it through a book. Got it at Walmart. I met the guy who made this movie.
At least he said he did. Yeah. If you ever watched it, he would have seen me. I have a little cameo in it. But
Nice.
it's a very weird thing that happened with that movie. So I gave it to Kino Lorber, and when a studio picks up a movie from an independent filmmaker, you're almost virtually powerless. In order to sell movies on things like Redbox that doesn't have an enormous marketing budget, like we do not, they have to sell to the public on the side of the Redbox those little 3x5 panels. I think you could see one right there in my picture. I have one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Those little 3x5 panels to sell what your movie is on Redbox. Anytime you pass a Redbox, you know they have the little movie poster panel on the side of it. And in order for them to get people's attention, most film marketing people think having a poster that's familiar to the public will help sell the film. But sadly, their decision to do that on my film had a really severe backlash because they heavily borrowed the cover art of my film from Trick or Treat. So before my movie, I don't know if I have a copy right here. I don't know if you're not familiar with the Mr. Hush cover art.
No, yeah.
You'll see what I mean.
I wonder why that looked familiar.
Yeah, it's a direct ripoff. Well, in all fairness, my copy's a direct ripoff of my cover is a direct ripoff of Trick or Treat. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. The distributor did.
Oh,
and the reason they do that is because they want people to be familiar with the product. But in all fairness, Trick or Treat stole its cover from the original Rob Zombie Halloween. It's the exact same cover.
Oh my God. It's like coverception here.
Yeah. So, but the sad part is that before my film even came out, it was like 6 weeks before the post date that they released the cover art. IMDb doesn't protect filmmakers at all. They allowed over close to 200 people to go on the Mr. Hush IMDb page and give me a 1 rating in protest of my poster. So that's an incredible hole to have to dig yourself out of. Yeah, so I mean, it was great because the art made the picture sell to Redbox, which was 35,000 units, which is great. But in the long run, I think it hurt us because people thought that we willingly took from. And I'm just like, if you guys ever looked at the theatrical poster when the film was under my control when it was in theaters, it looked nothing like Trick or Treat because I had nothing to do with Trick or Treat, but that's just the way.
Interesting to know that. I mean, because they're all about their little money game.
Right. Oh, yeah. The distributor doesn't give a rat's ass about what it does to the filmmaker. They just want to maximize dollar. where
Yeah.
I'm actually more concerned about the artistic point of it, and my film is more of a loving ode to Fright Night or The Lost Boys than it had anything to do with Trick or Treat. I love Trick or Treat. I have nothing but respect for that movie. I think it's a great movie, but the fans of that franchise were very unkind to a small indie, and I'll never understand why they did that.
Sheesh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's crazy. But at the same time, like all this really cool stuff was happening too. But I
Oh
guess you
yeah, no,
gotta
no,
take the
yeah.
good with the bad.
Yeah, no, it's funny because you sit back and I learned a valuable lesson because I'll never do this again. But I would sit back and I would read the reviews of my film, and people like real review people would say like, I really wanted to like Mr. Hush, but the lead character's hair bothered me too much. And I'm like, what kind of critique? What kind of critique is that really? Or my film came out the same day as Cabin in the Woods, and one
Oh,
reviewer said Mr. Hush was okay, but not as good as Cabin in the Woods. How do you compare a $200,000 small indie film with a $80 million Chris Hemsworth Hollywood blockbuster? And
yeah.
it's just weird the way. I mean, I guess there's really no. I guess there's no really good way to do this, but it's weird because you want to do something artistic and you want people to see it, but then it gets thrown into a gene pool that where not all things are equal or even.
Yeah. Oh man. Dang, that was a lot going on for that movie, but I love
Yes.
it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm
And
extreme
if you,
to this day. I'm extremely proud of it. When I do conventions and stuff, and people come up and they're really excited to meet me because of that film. I understand that even though it has a small cult following, I made it for those people who understood that it was a contemporary reinvention of '80s horror movies, and uh, you know, I, no one else has done that yet.
I love it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it is on Tubi, and there's the link in the description, as
Oh,
well
sweet.
as Wits End. Also, there's a link in the description too. If you guys want to check that out, it's also on Tubi. Your
Mhm.
IMDb is on there, and your Facebook is on there as well.
Oh,
So
thank
you
you.
guys make sure and check them out. Check the movies out as well. They're free to watch. I mean,
Mhm.
most of us know about Tubi at this point because the past year we've done nothing but click, 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 or flip, flip, flip. So.
Yeah, I think Mr. Hush is actually on IMDb TV too. So if you just go on the Mr. Hush IMDb page, you can click on it literally on the IMDb page and watch the film. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. I didn't know that was a feature was on there. I haven't been on that in so long. I don't even know my passcode to get in there anymore. None of that. I'm like, I have no clue what's going on with that platform anymore. Oh my god, we got a lot of comments by the way, which is nice. Which is nice. Oh yes, Richard, I just answered that one. I guess Mr. Hush is streaming. Watch it on Tubi. The link is in the description, or you can go on the IMDb.
DB TV, yep.
Yeah, and watch it on there from the page itself. He also says, a good place for promoting and showing Mr. Hush would be Texas Frightmare Weekend. I don't know if you've ever been to that convention, but it's freaking amazing. And that is like one, besides Shock Fest, that's like one of the best conventions I've ever
Where
been to.
where in Texas is it?
I don't know. Richard, you got to let me know because they keep changing the dates because of what's
Is
been
that
going
is
on.
that is that in Bishop, Texas, or am I do I have to?
Like Dallas Fort Worth,
Okay.
they did it at the airport year before last
Mhm.
when the last one happened. It was
Are
at
you from
like their.
Texas?
No, I'm
No.
not. I had to fly for the first time. That was nice.
I'm actually grew up in a part of Texas. I didn't wasn't born there because I was born in Middle Village, Queens. But I spent my dad was in the military, and there's a small town called Coppers Cove, Texas, which is right outside of Austin. So I'm a big fan of Texas. I was just there in San Antonio recently. I love the Riverwalk.
I love Texas. The people there are really cool. You can go way faster on the freeway than you can in California, and people don't drive like idiots.
Well, there you
So,
go.
and they got really good barbecue.
They have great food. Everything's bigger in Texas.
That is, yes, it is. My
So
lord, it
so can I
is.
whore my other film Wits End because I heard you just brought that up a moment ago.
Yes, sir. You talk about whatever you want. This is
Okay.
your hour.
Well, there you go. This beautiful young lady just brought up Wits End, and that was a film that came out just last July 17th. And I'm extremely proud of this film. It's not a horror film or a genre film, but it's a survival film. And I find it was really a labor of love. We shot it in two superstorms. There's one called Superstorm Stella and one called Superstorm. I don't remember what the other one was called, but they both had storms that were between 3 and 4 feet of snow, and they both packed sub-zero temperatures and winds. And when you're an independent filmmaker, anything that you could use to your advantage. I mean, when you're shooting out in those conditions, it's something that Hollywood studios would, pay tens of millions of dollars to recreate, in a safe place. When you're an indie filmmaker, you have to go out there and guerrilla style it and carry your equipment through, enormous snow piles. But what was great about that film is that I got to work with two of my dearest friends, Scott Schiaffo, who is best known as the Chuli's gum guy in Clerks, and from Vulgar, and Brian O'Halloran, who's Dante, the face of the franchise of Clerks. Brian O'Halloran and Scott, two of my dearest friends, and we got to shoot that movie together. It was the first time the three of us ever did a film together. Well, actually, we did a movie called Middle Village together, but this is the first narrative film that we got to do together, and we got to shoot it after we did a Comic-Con, and it was just really a blast. And it's a very, very, very loving movie. It's not sappy by any stretch of the imagination. It's really just a story about one man's undying passion and love for his family, and fighting through insurmountable odds of being trapped in a blizzard to get home to his wife and daughter. So if you get a chance, please watch Wits. It's on TUBI for free. It's on Amazon Prime if you. It's on Hulu and Vudu and all those other streaming channels. And it's a very, very. The film means a lot to me because it's the most guerrilla film I ever made. I think it's one of the most beautifully shot films I ever made. We had it premiered, sadly, last July in the middle of COVID. It played in theaters, but nobody was going to theaters then. But we had a premiere where a socially distanced premiere where we had a room that usually holds 300 people, but we had 70 people in there, and it had almost like a giant IMAX screen, and the film was just absolutely stunning to look at on the big screen. So I was very, very proud of it. And if you guys watching wouldn't mind giving it a watch, I would really appreciate that, because every time you support an indie filmmaker, it allows them the power to make other films.
I thought you were going to say An Angel Gets His Wings, but that's good too.
No. It's actually my favorite movie of all time. At the end of every one of my episodes, at the end of the night, I quote "It's a Wonderful Life" because it's just a great movie.
Yeah, I like that movie, but I can only get into it at Christmas though. I can't. I know some people can watch Christmas movies whenever, horror lovers can watch horror whenever, but it has to be at Christmas. And
I understand that, but it's also if you watch the film, only a very, very small part of it takes place at Christmas time. Yeah. It's really just a reflection of an entire man's life. But I'm a firm believer that no man is a failure who has friends, and that's what Clarence wrote on George Bailey's note. So that's what I say at the end of every one of my shows, and I think that's why I'm blessed when I work on a film or I do a TV show or something. When I call a friend of mine, they're always willing to do it because I'm, sincere, never. Always have everybody's best words eluding me, best intentions in heart, and I don't know. I'm getting sappy, so you should stop me. Jump in.
No, that's how people should be with one another. The world just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of bad karma or being mean? I mean, what's the point behind that?
I don't get it. All it does is just waste your energy and takes away from your day. It takes your time from you.
We live in a time where if you say even sweet, sincere things, people misconstrue it as being unkind or ungenuine, and it's just
or they can't appreciate it as being kind.
No, I don't get it. I was brought up at a different time and made of different stock. If somebody says something kind to me, I take it and it makes me feel good, and I appreciate their kindness. So that's
See,
best
we need more
interest is what
people
I
like
was.
David in the world.
That's what I was thinking of. Best interest, everybody's best interest in mind. It's
We
funny
knew what
because
you meant.
it's funny because I've hooked up a lot of people in the past together, and they've done really big and wonderful things together. And people don't understand why I do that. I do that because what they done together, I couldn't do with them. It's not going to benefit me in any way, but they can do it together. And because I made that happen, I made two people happy. What's the big deal? I just don't
And
get
that
it.
makes you happy because everyone's getting along. So,
Right? Yeah.
right?
I mean, somebody asked me like, "Hey, can you reach out to so and so for me?" And yeah, I'm like, "Sure. If it's gonna, if you guys could have a dance card together, it's perfect." I'm hoping that somebody does it for me one day. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They do that all the time. They do I am so blessed. Like when I call my friends to do like the talk show, I don't think anybody has said no yet. So it's pretty awesome.
That is cool. That is
Yep.
cool. Do you were talking earlier about a furry little movie?
Oh yeah,
What is a movie?
I
Not a
just
furry movie.
a movie where I'm furry actually. We just finished. We shot mostly over the pandemic and during lockdown, but it really worked because the movie's vibe is very claustrophobic. I just finished shooting my first werewolf film, and it's titled Full Moon Fever. And it's totally the title's a loving ode, of course, to the great Tom Petty album Full Moon Fever, but it has the sensibilities of 80s. I'm a product of the 80s, so everything I do is going to kind of harken back to what I know, what I love, and it kind of has the sensibilities of Silver Bullet, which I loved with Gary Busey and Corey Haim. Has the sensibilities of American Werewolf in London with David Norton and Griffin Dunn, and may even have a member of that film in the cast, which we'll have to just wait and see. And it also has a touch of my favorite cinematic werewolf, which most people don't remember. But my favorite cinematic werewolf was in a small Anthony Hitchcock's 80s film called Waxwork.
I haven't heard anybody bring up Waxwork in forever. Just like earlier you said 976 Evil. I'm like, oh my God, nobody talks about those movies anymore.
I know, it's a crime. Waxwork is just the werewolf in that movie is just fantastic.
I didn't care for the second one too much, but I like Waxwork.
It had Bruce Campbell in it, so of course it was watchable.
Well, yeah, Bruce is cool. Bruce is cool.
So we just finished shooting that. It has the lovely Mary Ann Hagen, who horror fans, of course, will know. I think her name was Kara Strode in Halloween 6. I don't know. What was it? It was the last Donald Pleasance Halloween movie. She's the lead opposite Paul Rudd, and she's a beautiful and wonderful actress. And of course, my dear friend Scott Schiaffo is in Full Moon Fever, and we have some really, really iconic people in that movie. But I think the people involved would you'd see one of those old Gene, the dancing machine canes pull me off screen if I started to divulge too much information.
It's up to you if it's too much information, I guess. Or are you talking to me or are you talking to the people who are watching?
No, I'm talking to you. It's funny because
it's your project. I don't know what you don't want people to know.
No, I know. The werewolf transformation. There's two werewolves in the film. There's the werewolf who attacks me in the beginning, and then I become a werewolf. And I will say that all the werewolf transformation scenes and all the werewolf is all done practically with prosthetics. I'm still, as you could see, breaking out from it, and it was just a real blast. And some of the dailies we put together to see how ultimately the transformation scene was going to go, because you really can't, no matter how great a werewolf film is, you have to have a great transformation scene and a great werewolf to sell the movie. And I'm really, really happy with how the werewolf came out. And the film is very, I don't know, it's kind of, my character is very reminiscent if you saw the new Nick Cage movie, Mandy.
I'm just, I'm sorry. I should have warned you. We don't talk about Nick Cage on the show. No, I'm just
No.
kidding.
What did
I'm
you,
honestly not a huge, like, he creeps me the hell out.
well,
We
that's
can
what you're
talk about
supposed
him,
to
that's
do.
fine.
No,
But
no,
he just,
no.
in everything, he creeps me the hell out. He's like what's her name from Twilight? Kristen Stewart.
Right.
He's like the old creepy male Kristen Stewart, like, he's just kind of awkward and kind of twitchy.
You
Like,
gotta watch
I don't
this
know.
80. You gotta watch this 80s or early 90s movie called Red Rock West, and I guarantee that'll be the first movie Nicolas Cage wins you over in.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I'll try because I'm still working my way up to watch that what's that Willy's Wonderland or Wonderland Willy's or
Oh
something where
yeah, yeah.
Hoffman
He's got
but go ahead.
and The Color of Space was a great movie. They made Mandy and The Color of Space together at the same time, so they both
Oh,
have it's virtually the same cast and people, but The Color of Space is really an H.P. Lovecraft work, and it's just a really, really great movie. And it has some of the best cinematography, the best color saturation of a film I've seen in a long time. Are you a fan of The Lost Boys?
I am. I love The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys is now, I guess, over 30 years old, and if you
Oh
still watch, if you
my.
still watch this, if you still watch that movie to this day,
Mhm.
the color tones in that movie are still unequaled to anything, especially if you watch a 4K version. That's one of the few films that looks three-dimensional with it being a two-dimensional film. And it just pops and it has like a color scheme in it. And that's what I kind of equate the new Nick Cage movie, The Color of Space, to.
Okay. Okay.
Joe's like,
Well,
why the hell did I have this guy on my show? He never shuts the hell up.
no, no, you're fine. Seriously. Like I said, this is all talk about your stuff and you just hang out and chill and get to know each other and talk to other people too.
You got to come on my show, and we should do a segment once in a while where you come on my show, and you
That
and
would
I
be
will
fun.
sit there and we'll pick on celebrities.
Ooh.
We'll get Nick Cage
Ooh.
on, and you could tell him what a schlep he is.
I have to Google schlep. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got a bunch of comments again. Let me try to grab a couple of these real fast. Libby says, I love the relationship you captured with Brian, Scott, and Mandy.
Oh, sweet.
Scott said, Wits End was so well done.
That's Scott Schiaffo, the cult icon from Clerks. Hello, Scott.
This
Thank you
is
for watching.
Scott Meany.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Saying
That's
that?
Scott Meany. Scott Meany's
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful artist, and he has a graphic novel coming out soon.
Ooh, cool.
Hmm?
Cool. I like that stuff. Um, I Carius, sorry, says I'm taking it, Nick Cage. He won me over in Fast Time at Ridgemont High. Also Moonstruck. Was Nick Cage in Fast Time at Ridgemont High?
I don't remember him in Fast Times. Just
I
Sean
don't know.
Penn
Yeah,
and Judge
maybe there was
Reinhold.
a cameo. Yeah, and Phoebe Cates and
Yeah, maybe he had a cameo. I don't recall.
maybe I don't
The
know. John Cusack was in it too, wasn't he?
Not that I recall. No.
Oh no, I'm thinking of like
Judge
16
Reinhold.
Candles. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I that was actually a movie that I don't think I ever watched from start to finish.
Huh.
I must.
Well, I guess he was in it. It's a yes, he was, and then Tech Defect says yes, his first film.
Oh, sweet.
I did not know
Well,
that. Maybe
If Joe Ridgely says that's the case, that's the case. I like
Okay.
on this screen. I look like I have a superpower. Like I have like a Scarlet Witch thing going on down here, and up here I have like another Scarlet Witch thing.
You could like if you lean down real low, you could be like Cyclops,
Oh yeah,
like that.
oh, wow.
Yeah, just like that.
Out of my head. Or Godzilla.
Have you seen the new one yet, by the way?
I did, and I fanboyed out. I totally geeked out. I love both Godzilla and King
I love
Kong.
that you said geeked out.
Oh yeah, I geeked out. And to be brutally honest with you, even though I love both characters, King Kong, I mean, just bitch slapped Godzilla all over the place. Let's be honest. I mean,
Kind of mirror with King Kong. I haven't seen the new one yet. I'm more of a
okay.
Planet of the Apes type of girl. I love like the original and the remakes. Planet of the Apes all the way.
You know, it's
So.
funny. The one person who I adore the most in the business, and I got to work with him well before he passed, was Roddy McDowell, who was Cornelius
Oh,
in Planet of the Apes. It's funny as you bring it up, and he was also in my favorite horror movie of all time, Fright Night. He played Peter Vincent.
yes.
And back in the '90s, he had a book of photographs that my brother and I got to work on, and his book of photographs were literally, and I think this is another thing that attracted me to the entertainment business. His book of photographs were just candid photos of him throughout his life and his Hollywood friends at like Hollywood parties. And it was just, if you just really want to get a great book, check it out. Roddy McDowell's book of photographs. It's pretty awesome.
Huh.
Hmm?
That sounds pretty
I'm a
cool.
fountain of useless information, Joe. If
No,
you
I
ever,
love useless
eh,
facts.
I mean, if you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I have to be one of your phone a friends.
For sure. Is that still a show? I want to go on a show again. I want to win some money.
I hear that. I hear that. So, do you do any acting?
Do I do any acting?
Yeah.
I act like a normal person every day.
There you go.
No, I've been in a couple films. So
Next time I do
nothing.
a horror movie, you have to come out and we'll gladly kill you in one of our horror films.
Yay!
Yay!
I think I've been killed in one. I think I've been killed in one, and then I was a killer in the other ones.
Oh, sweet. Are
So
these
that would be
titles that I
cool.
would know?
A lot of them never finished, and then
Okay.
some are still in editing. I don't know when it'll ever come out. So the last one, I was a prostitute.
Okay.
So in a killer situation, but I didn't die. So.
I would, if I was to write a part for you, I would make you like a gangster. I would put you in an old 20s tuxedo and a bowler hat and have you sit behind a desk smoking a big stogie with a big stone on your finger. And you would be like the mob boss that literally everybody curtailed to.
Oh, geez, that would be like polar opposite of my life. I'll take it. It's like, I'll give you an offer you can't refuse.
Exactly, exactly. This is going to blow your mind. The other night on Showtime, they played Godfather 1 and 2 back to back. And I roamed this earth now for half a century. It's the first time I ever seen those movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
For some
I've
reason, I
seen
just
them a
never
long
got
time
it.
ago.
Just for some reason, I just never got around to seeing the Godfather movies.
Do you like gangster movies?
Uh, I don't dislike. I mean, I think Goodfellas is one of the best movies ever made, and you know, it's a very very hit or miss genre. I mean, either they're really really good movies, or they're unwatchable crap, and there's really very little middle ground. So, I mean, I name a mobster movie that's just like, it's okay. I mean, it's like either really good, or like I want to pour bleach in my eyes. So,
Okay.
I mean, I love Scorsese and De Niro and all the guys involved in The Irishman, but I didn't think it was all that great of a
Ooh.
movie.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good movie. I didn't think it was like the best, but I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good movie. I like Black Mass with Johnny Depp.
What's it called?
Black Mass. It's where he does Whitey Bulger.
No, I don't think I know
I
that
think
one.
Whitey Bulger just died not that long ago. Maybe
This
within the
somebody
last
in
week.
our audience might be able to help me. I saw this really great mob movie that it was the guy who played General Zod in the new Henry Cavill Superman. I never remember that cat's name. The guy who played General Zod. He's the lead guy, and it was a true story. But and it had Ray Liotta. If anybody
I
could help,
love Ray Liotta.
if anybody who's watching could help me with that movie, I'd be. I would love to remember the name because I actually want to watch it again. But it has the guy who played the lead guy is General Zod, and he's playing a real. It's a true story about a guy who used to do hits for the mafia, and Ray Liotta is like his boss, and they show him in the warehouse, and he's like chopping up bodies, and it's just like he's talking to his pal like they're working in a grocery store, and
That's a couple of mob movies I've seen actually.
no, but this one was especially good. Came out maybe
Okay.
about 8 or 10 years ago. If anybody's watching, anybody have a
Let's
name
see.
for me on that one? Do you remember the guy who played General Zod? What his name was?
You know what? I'm not a huge Superman fan. I am a
Okay.
Batman fan.
Oh, I gotcha.
But I did
He's
go to the
the...
same bartending school as Brandon Roth, so
Well, that's sweet. That's sweet.
that was about it. Then
Did
I
you
was
meet
like,
him?
yeah, it's Superman. No, we didn't go at the same time. So it's that traveling bartender school that like goes around and takes all this money from you for no reason at all because you don't need a certificate to be a bartender and you really don't need to learn any drinks because drinks change all the time or they're called something else all the
You just
time.
rocked my world with traveling bartender school. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a thing anymore. I don't know, but I guess it was a big thing for a long time.
I think I'm going to buy myself a used ice cream truck and I'm going to drive around and do traveling director school.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon, thank you. Whoever came up, Michael
Name
Shannon's there.
familiar.
And yes, it was a Michael Shannon movie, and Ray Liotta is in it, and it was about a real life mafia cleaner, and it was just a great movie. That's one of the more recent ones. And I'm a big Sopranos fan. I have Ray Abruzzo, who is Little Carmine in The Sopranos. He was in my film Middle Village, and he was recently on my show The End of the Night. And it's so weird when you see people who you're really close with, and they're on like iconic like television shows where everybody in the world knows them from it and seen them on. He was also on Night Court, so that's pretty awesome. But I love The Sopranos. That was a great show.
You know, I got into it like when it was new. I started watching it like halfway through, and then I stopped because I was like, you know what? I missed so much. Like, it's not fair to pick it up right here and try to go all the way through it. So I want to start it from the beginning. I mean, I know it's old as hell now and it ended forever ago, but it is on my long list of things that I would like to eventually watch.
Do you have HBO Max?
I do. I even have it on my phone.
Every episode is on HBO Max, so you should have a binge weekend.
I should. I need time for a binge weekend. Ugh.
I guarantee when you watch like the first 3 episodes, you don't stop.
Okay, I'm gonna put that on the board because I'm starting a board on the refrigerator that has a list of things that need to come first. So we check them off on because the weekends are the only time we really have time to watch stuff. Like,
well, you gotta put Mr.Hush and Wits End up towards the top.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, it's on my TUBI list because I tried to sit down to watch it today and then I had to get up and leave and I was like, damn it, I'm trying to watch this, so I just saved it. So it's on there. It's on there.
There you go.
But you said it's on Prime though too, or is that Wits End?
They're both on Prime.
Okay, I'd rather watch it on Prime because I don't want any commercials. So
okay, Wits End's on Prime, and Mr. Hush is on IMDb TV.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, well,
they're both owned by Amazon. So if you have your movie on IMDb TV, it's not on Prime because IMDb TV is a much larger audience. So Mr. Hushwitch is available on that one.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's interesting to know. The Iceman. Yes, The Iceman was an awesome movie.
That's the movie, The Iceman.
Yes, okay.
Who told us?
Okay.
Who told us? I want to give a shout out.
A lot of people. Matt, Katie, Valkyrius. Yeah, everybody's saying it.
Thank you for The Iceman. Yeah. This is a cool movie. I never heard of it, and it just kind of came back. It's just a great movie.
Yeah, but I want to go watch some more of them mob movies. They are good movies, and it's a nice breakup from horror. I mean, there's still some gruesomeness in some of them, but
You know, I always wanted to make a mob movie, but I was always afraid that if it was like really good, I might get whacked. So I just decided, maybe I'll stay away from there.
You never know.
I remember Steve Martin and Rick Moranis made a comedy. I think it was called My Blue Heaven, about 2 mob guys.
Oh yeah, way back. That was an '80s movie, wasn't it?
It was either late '80s or early '90s, but that was a fun one. Yeah.
Oh my
I'm sorry,
gosh.
I cut you off from your stream of thought. My apologies.
Oh no, it's a constant stream. It's fine. Sometimes there's several channels going at once.
There you go.
It's okay. It wasn't important. We do have a couple minutes left, and I did want to ask you at least 2 more questions. I try to ask these because I'm always curious what people have to say.
Sure.
So if you had to die in a horror movie, how would you want to die?
Hopefully at the end. If I was to die in a horror movie, I would like to be killed by a pizza cutter by Michael Myers.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
Oh, and
I love that I get these different ones.
for people who are watching out there, I might be involved in the new Pumpkinhead movie. So
No way.
yes, Pumpkinhead, the Seed of Fear. So keep an eye
Is
out for
Lance
that.
going to be involved in this one or no?
No.
Well, I don't know if you can say or not.
No, not that I have no control over who. I don't know anybody who's involved in it. I just am involved in a way.
Cool, cool, cool.
Pen to
Actually,
paper.
I met him. Pen to paper.
Pen to paper.
Yes. I met him. I actually met Lance at that Texas Frightmare weekend year before last. I guess he goes there every year. He just walks around like nothing. Like, it's no big deal. Just walks around, minds his own business, goes to the different booths.
He's actually the answer to one of the greatest trivia questions ever. Name the only actors who were killed by the Terminator, the Predator, and the Alien. And there's two.
The Terminator, the Predator,
and the Alien. Two actors were killed by the Terminator, the Alien, and the Predator.
Which, okay. One's obviously Lance.
One's Lance Henriksen. He was killed by the Terminator in the original Terminator.
Okay.
And he was killed by the Alien in the original Alien. And he was killed by the Predator in Alien versus Predator.
I'm trying to remember where he was at in the Terminator.
He's the cop.
He's the cop in the Terminator? The T-1000?
He's the... No. You're thinking the original Terminator back in 1984? The T-1000... Yeah, he's
oh, wait, that was Terminator... Never mind.
Yeah, I think T-1000 was from Terminator 2.
Yeah, blonde moment. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. He's the original. He's in the original. He's one of the cops in the original Terminator.
Okay. Valkyria says 1990s. Richard Nettleton says Bill Paxton.
Oh, somebody else got it.
Yeah, and Valkyria also said Bill Paxton. Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah, because he was in Predator.
He was in Predator 2.
Predator 2.
Yep, he gets killed on the train with Maria Conchita Alonso.
I like the Conchita.
Maria Conchita Alonso. And he was killed. He was one of the very first people killed in the opening scene of Terminator. He's one of the thugs who meet him when he first arrives in the park.
Oh, he's all like crouched down. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to go back and see that.
Yes, indeedy. Yes. And in Aliens, the second Alien movie, he's Hudson and gets killed in that. So he's definitive. Sadly, he passed away in real life.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He was awesome.
Yeah. He was in, what's that one show? Big Love?
I don't think I've seen that. I know he was in that Marvel ABC show. I don't remember what Agent Coulson?
Oh, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, I know what that show is.
Yep, he was on that.
Huh. Yes, he was in Big Love. I love Big Love. That was a great show. It was an HBO show about the Mormons. They were like a Mormon family.
Huh.
And they were, a polygamous family, and he owned like a chain of stores, and he was rich, and they get caught up in stuff. It's a really good show. It's a good show.
Did you ever see him in his very best movie, Near Dark?
I was just talking about that movie the other day. I love that movie. And I don't think I've met anybody else who's ever when they're in the van and they put all the foil and stuff on the windows so they can drive around during the day.
I still think that 10-minute sequence when they go into the bar and they kill everybody in the bar is one of the best 10 minutes in not only horror film history but film history. Just a great movie. Directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Bigelow. He was also Chet in he was Chet in Weird Science. Yeah, I love that too. Like, dickballs. He's got the cigar in his mouth and his chonies.
That's actually probably the first movie I remember seeing him in, and I just thought he was hysterical in that movie. It was a really great loss. He also did a great movie called Frailty, if anybody gets a chance. Frailty and not all the right moves. It's another movie he did where he plays a cop with Billy Bob Thornton. You should check out. I don't remember what that was called. He also did... what was that one? It was him and Billy Bob Thornton, and Sam Raimi directed it, and they found $1 million in a plane wreck.
I don't know if I've
You know
seen
what
that
happened? I
one.
used to know all this stuff. I've gotten old and feeble. That was a very, 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 very popular movie. I think it might have even been nominated for an Academy Award, but I'm
Hmm.
not going to babble on with and ruin your show with that silliness.
Oh, hush a mush.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Hushamush.
Hush a mush. Okay, well, my last question to you for the
Hmm?
evening is, um, if you were a killer in a movie, how would you kill somebody? Like, what would be your signature move?
I would tie them to a chair and make them watch Friends. No. Uh, signature move. You know what's scary? It's like one of those things like where everything cool has kind of probably already been done. But how about this? How about my victims would be bound with their hands behind their back and their feet tied. And then I would hang them upside down on a hook whilst totally alive and fine. And I would give them the ever so slightest paper cut on the tip of their nose and let them bleed out over the course of hours and hours and hours.
You're sick.
Well, thank
I
you.
like.
That's
So, oh man,
yeah, because if you're
that's
hanging
a
upside
massive
down,
way.
even a paper cut will never stop bleeding.
Uh,
So
I
I
never heard or thought of that.
I think it would A, be incredibly cinematic. B, it would be incredibly painful for the poor bastard that you do it to. Because not only are you bleeding out, but hanging upside
Oh,
down just in and of itself with all the blood right. Yeah. So I
oh,
think, but I think before the victim would literally, meet their demise, I would assume that they would probably lose consciousness. But it would
yeah,
be cool. It's just, I mean, it's so perfectly simple.
yeah. It
Like
is
take
actually
out like a really really giant knife and like dance over to them like in a Quentin Tarantino style, and then
like Reservoir Dogs.
instead of actually cutting them with the knife, just take out a little piece of paper and slide it across their nose.
Oh, Katie says, just said David was a genuinely kind guy. Oh man, I think we all hold maybe a little darkness in us somewhere. So.
No, I mean it's not dark. It's just I look at it more as a creative. I mean, it's it's just a movie. People come up to me in conventions and say, "Does it bother you if your movie?" And first off, I don't make the type of movies that would ever inspire anybody to do something heinous. But does it bother you if that would happen? And I said, well, listen, if a vampire or a werewolf ever actually kills somebody, you come to me and blame me because I'm responsible for that. But yeah, it's entertainment. It's horror films. I don't like torture porn movies. I don't like super gory horror movies. I like films that are smart. But you asked me a question, and I came up with I thought would a cool cinematic way to do it. What the hell do I know?
I love it though. That's great. I love it. Katie says, hanging upside down with a paper cut, brutal. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly, dude.
Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Like, what's really gnarly about that? Your hands would be behind your back, and that ever so slight drip would be going down the top of your
Gonna
forehead, and you
bug you.
just want to be like wiping it off. And you know that each drip is literally like your life. Oh, it's nasty. I think I just gave myself an idea for my next film.
There you go. You better copyright it now. All right. Well, I guess I lied. I guess I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
Do you have any last words for our viewers tonight?
First off, I want to thank you, Joe, for having me on your show. All kidding aside, I've watched your show from afar for months now. I think you're awesome. I think you're a really, really great interviewer. And please don't take this the wrong way because I'm a happily married, middle-aged hack, but you are amazingly beautiful and amazingly talented, and I
Thank you.
really love watching your show. And so again, thank you for having me. I would ask everybody who's watching to please also tune in to my show, The End of the Night. Or you can find it here on Facebook, David Lee Madison's The End of the Night. Maybe the beautiful Joe will come and join me on my show one night and have some fun over on that show. And please check out my films if you get a chance. They're available on all major streaming networks. We have Mr.Hush, Wits End, Middle Village, which was a documentary film I made in 2015 about the town I grew up in. It was actually one of the New York Times top 20 movies of 2015.
Oh,
And look, of course, for my next film, Full Moon Fever, coming out in theaters this October.
yes, I want to see that. I love werewolf movies. I get excited every time I hear about a new one, and I'm so glad that they're not as popular and as rampant as vampires and zombies. No offense, because vampires are so cool, but especially zombies, it's like everything is zombies. I want to
You
see
know what?
something fresh.
I'm going to say something that's so unbelievably is going to probably rock the horror world. I think zombies are just so easy. It's just such an easy way out. It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, when Romero did it back in the '60s, nobody was doing it, and it was brilliant because, but zombies. I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where I would make a zombie film because I just don't get the law, and it just seems like the simplest way out. But what the hell do I know?
You know more than some of us, sir.
No,
So I'll take it.
I mean, are you a big zombie film fan?
I like zombie films. I like 28 Days Later. I thought
Mm-hmm.
was great. The Resident Evils. I like the story. I wasn't into the special effects so much. I mean, I know it
Mm-hmm.
was newer for the time, but it was just kind of. I like practical, and it
Right.
was just too overdone with the special effects for me. So or
Mm-hmm.
the CGI. That's what I'm
Right.
looking for. So I mean, I do, but it's got to be done a certain way for me to be like, oh my God, this is so great.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. One of the few zombie films I liked recently was the World War Z
Brad
with
Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Yeah, I mean, but it's just I mean I think it's a formula that's kind of seen its best days already. So what do
You know what you like, sir, and
I
there's
know what I
nothing wrong with
like.
that.
There you go. There you
Nobody
go.
can tell you different.
I'm more of like the great universal characters like werewolves and vampires
Yeah.
and Frankenstein and the Mummy and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I mean those are the classics, man.
Yes, those are the best ones. I
Yeah.
love those. And the Invisible Man, the
Yeah.
Swamp Thing, or
I mean
no,
just to
Creature from
show
Black.
you how devoid of talent current Hollywood is. And I'm talking about the independent horror film community. I'm talking about the Hollywood establishment. They try to reboot the Universal horror films, and they start with a Tom Cruise mummy movie, really, and Russell Crowe is in there as the Jekyll and Hyde character. I mean, they really had no concept of how to do that properly. I mean, there are great films like the '80s film Monster Squad, which wasn't directly involved with Universal films, but knew how to do a werewolf, Frankenstein, and Dracula. Contemporary Hollywood, casting people like Tom Cruise, Russell Crowe, and even Johnny Depp for these movies is just a colossal calamity.
Yeah, and we've seen their faces for decades. There's so many talented people out there that we can hire as fresh faces to get out there to
Yeah,
do these films. So
yeah.
eventually he'll rot away.
That's why I love that movie Split. Did you see Split?
Yes. Oh my
Uh,
gosh, James McAvoy.
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy, yeah,
Yeah,
is
he's great.
probably why was he not considered for an Oscar for that film? You know
I
why?
know.
Because it's a horror film. That's disgraceful and despicable. And anybody who could play, I think he played 22 different characters in that
Yeah,
movie,
it was a
and
lot.
and literally they would change on a dime. I mean, he would go from one character right mid scene to another character, and he did it flawlessly. And he's a brilliant young actor. I mean, why isn't James McAvoy getting roles in these things instead of
Exactly.
I don't know.
X-Men. He was in X-Men. I remember he was in that. Wait, was
Yeah,
he?
he was a Professor X, and he played the young Professor X.
Yeah.
But I'm talking
Man.
more about these genre franchises that are going. I mean, even Blumhouse, they're kind of
Mhm.
regurgitating. I mean, I love Halloween movies. Don't get me wrong, but do we need to take the classic Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween series that Donald Pleasance lovingly continued with like Danielle Harris after Jamie Lee left, and take that that timeline and pervert it to make new Halloween movies in 2018 and 2020. I mean, there was no reason to go to make the last Halloween picture that Blumhouse made. There was no reason for them to make believe that Halloween 2 through 8 didn't happen, because Halloween 2, Jamie Lee Curtis was in Halloween 2. So was Donald Pleasance. I mean, so, and then you had the Rob Zombie nightmare between the two. And it's just like, the horror genre is not devoid of fresh and brilliant ideas. You just have to look in independent cinema to find them. And that's, I guess, what my point is.
They just want the money. They're just like, give me money. We know this works. We'll just do this. They'll come.
Yes.
They'll show up. It's a big name. They'll show up.
I know. That's what's sad about it.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, sir, we are well past our bedtime.
Yes, and thank you. I want to really thank you for having me on your show. It was awesome to finally meet you, and to do your show is just an absolute pleasure. And keep doing what you're doing, because you do it well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you reaching back out to me, because I know there was stuff going on, and I kind of like totally forgot. I was like, oh no. So I'm glad that you reminded me.
I'm used to women not paying any attention to me, so don't worry about it.
I'm just a bubblehead, so I mean, I really am. I'm just like, oh, bird, squirrel.
Squirrel. Quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, shiny. No. Oh, did I leave the dryer on?
You know, it's funny because I know you have a great sense of humor and you're joking about it, and I've watched the show enough to know just how smart you are. So it's very, very, it's endearing that you say those things about yourself, but they're absolutely not true.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I appreciate you coming on the show. Oh, and sorry.
I like the Stranger Things that you got behind your wall there. It looks like you got your Christmas lights hanging.
Yeah, I just never plug them in. I don't know why. I made a big fuss about getting them up there, and then I never plug them in. So.
Is the what do they call themselves? The underworld or the dark world or the underneath?
The upside down.
The upside. Is anybody like contacting you? Have you heard from who's the big sheriff guy?
I forget his name.
That's the bad
I've only
thing
been through the season 1.
That's the bad thing about that show, is that they take forever in between seasons. The kids are going to be in their 40s the next time that show.
Probably. My gosh, this really is going to be awkward things.
Yeah, awkward things. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. You make sure you check out the links below for some more stuff from David. The TUBI links for Mr. Hush and Wits End are both in the description, as well as the IMDb for David and his Facebook page. So you guys hit him up if you want him on your show. If you want to tell him about something, like your movie's fucking awesome, you should do that.
Thank you.
And I will see you guys tomorrow for 420 and a movie review. And we're going to have a couple of guests on tomorrow night. So there'll be a bunch of us, I think, if this works. Fingers crossed. So.
Oh, wait, and remember, no man's a failure who has friends.
That's right. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow night. Have a good evening, guys. See if this works. Oh, it's lagging. Hold the place. I think it worked. Did it work? Did it end?
No, you're still on.